Hello, in today's video, I'm going to be making a rebuttal to a recent video made by the Birdman. Before we get started, I just want to say that if I sound a bit nasally or hoarse, it's because of the fact that I am getting over a cold, but I saw this video and I just wanted to get something off my chest. And also, I'm going to be talking about my past podcast video where I did a video on Trump, and I just want to address some things there too. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I don't know how long this is going to be. You should see it in the markers below. This might be a long video, so yeah. First, for those who are new, I am a writer. I have a book series, The Guardian of Light. Books 1 through 5 are available on Amazon right now, so let's just get that out of the way. I do writing for a living. Well, I'm trying to do writing for a living. I'm trying to, take off with my book series and stuff. So I deal with words quite often. And, with that comes a certain level of having to know how to, work with words. Not just what they mean, but what they could mean. So in the Birdman's recent video, he's talking about basically woke culture and off of a tweet that someone put on X where the guy said, "We didn't cry about the skin color of Lando or Mace Windu." Now, as far as Mace Windu goes, I don't know. I didn't hear a lot, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson was pretty much on top of his game, and so no one really questioned, as far as I know, that he could be a Jedi. He did seem to me, based on everything I'd ever seen Samuel L. Jackson in, he seemed to play the more hot-tempered kind of character. So it was interesting to see him play a Jedi because, a Jedi was going to have to be like Yoda or Obi-Wan. Those were our two lead examples of what a Jedi was until Phantom Menace came out. Now, as far as Lando goes, I have no idea. Empire Strikes Back came out, I believe, the year I was born, in 82. So I was a baby when that came out, but I think maybe what this person might be getting at in this tweet is sometime after Empire Strikes Back. I'm sure by the time Return of the Jedi came out, and because he does play a clip, I'll play it here in a minute, but he does play a clip where Billy D. Williams was, I guess, harassed because he was sort of the bad guy in Empire Strikes Back. But, Billy D. Williams is not the only one who has ever been harassed for playing a villain and been mistaken for his character outside of the movies. The guy who plays Walter Peck and the newscaster in Die Hard received a lot of backlash, and he was white. So it's not a matter of skin color. It's a matter of the fact that they played such a bad villain in such a good way that it really upset people. So, I mean, I get it. People shouldn't be doing that to begin with. I mean, the character is supposed to be bad. If you have a story with bad people in it, you want them to be bad. You want to showcase the badness so that way this person's a villain. And he wasn't all bad. I mean, by the end of the movie, he was kind of like that character, like, oh man, you did something bad and now you're doing something good. Can we trust you? So I'm actually a little surprised to hear that Billy D. Williams did receive such backlash. I guess I never really bothered to look into it before, but I'll go ahead and play the clip.
Similarly, if these two characters were created today, they would also be subject to racial epithets and harassment over their inclusion. Because of course they would. And they were. These are Billy D's own words.
Nearly everywhere I went, fans harangued me for portraying Han Solo. I got dirty looks on airplanes. How could you? A flight attendant scolded. At the grocery store, a man shopping with his teenage son looked at me with disgust. I should put you in the deep freeze, he said, as his son nodded in agreement. The harshest reaction came on the playground at my daughter's school. In the afternoon, as I waited in the courtyard to pick her up, parents scowled at me. Then after the bell rang, I got the same treatment from Hanako's friends. Mr. Williams, you sold out Han Solo. Why'd you do that? Now Han Solo's dead. It was laughable until it wasn't, until I sensed the black-white thing might be brewing. That's when I took a step back, put up my hands, and told people to wait a minute before they criticized me any further. I guess I had done a convincing job playing Lando as a dubious character.
So why would the guy you're attempting to use as a shield from accusations of racism also suggest he received racist backlash for simply playing a character in a movie? Starting to seem more like using Lando only works when you forget there was no social media back in the 80s, huh?
Now, I also want to point out, going back to the beginning of the video here real quick, he does point out that the person who made the post is a follower of Geeks and Gamers. Now, I just want to go on the record and say I used to watch Geeks and Gamers a long time ago, back when episode 7 came out. But then when episode 8 came out, I stopped. I checked them out a little bit after that, just to see what they were talking about with episode 9. But I was so infuriated with all the crap going on with The Last Jedi. Now, if you followed my channel at all, you know how I feel about The Last Jedi. When I saw the movie to begin with, I walked out confused. I didn't know if I liked it, if I hated it. I was completely in the middle on it. I was like, wow, I don't feel very satisfied with this movie, but it was okay. Like, visually, it was good. There was things I liked about it. And then the more and more time went on, by this point now, they were really diving into Rey's character, calling her a Mary Sue, saying, oh, she's just perfect at everything for no reason. And I am pretty sure I've gone through and done videos explaining how that's not true. She was not just perfect at everything. She still had to learn the Force. She was a natural born, I'm going to say natural born, but she was definitely a pilot. You know what? Luke was a pilot too. Before he jumped into that X-Wing, we had never seen Luke fly a ship at all. The only reference we had to knowing Luke was a pilot was him saying he used to shoot womp rats in the caverns of Tatooine with his T-16. That's it. That's the only line that said he was a pilot. Rey did not come flat out in The Force Awakens and say those words that she's a pilot, but she shows. Instead of telling us, she shows us that she is familiar with the Millennium Falcon. She calls it junk when they're running for their lives. And basically, she kind of hints to Finn that she knows how to fly a ship. Because she's saying, oh, we're going to, fly out of here on that ship. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And they're running for that ship, and then it gets blown up. And then they're like, okay, I guess we're taking the junk. So they get into the Millennium Falcon. Now, she didn't know anything about the Millennium Falcon. But then when Han Solo shows up and he's trying to make repairs, she's showing him what has been done to the ship by her boss. So that tells me, as a writer, if you're looking for being shown that she has spent some time on this ship with her boss probably brought her along, left her in charge of the controls while he went to sleep. I mean, she was basically working for this one guy as a slave. So, I mean, right there, she is showing. So, no, she is not a Mary Sue. Oh, she can fight? Guess what? She lived in a freaking desert. She had to fight to survive. I've gone over this with my best friend many times. We have had this argument many times, and he has never won once. Because every time he brings up something, I have a perfect counter. It's all right there in the movie. But then in The Last Jedi, they started bitching about Luke drinking blue milk. Well, guess what? They drink blue milk in A New Hope. And he has to survive. How many movies have farmers who go get milk from a cow, bring it in, and then serve it to their family? That's essentially what he did. He went fishing, and he went and got milk from his cow. He was living out on his own. Is he supposed to walk down to the local island store and get something with the money he doesn't have? Steal it from the people? No, he went and he got his food the old-fashioned way. But anyways, that's why I stopped following Geeks and Gamers, because all they did, all the time, every video it seen was talk negatively about Star Wars, which I'll admit has its issues, but I think it's been blown way out of the water.
And as an aside, I don't know this dude. I first became aware of their existence today, and after a bit of research, I can confirm that he is, of course, a parrot. But again, this video isn't really about him specifically, but about a deflection commonly used by parrots. So on to the stupidity that is this tweet. As I mentioned on Twitter, this is nothing more than the same deflection they use when people accuse them of being sexist. You'll constantly hear about Ripley from Alien or Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. And specifically Terminator 2, because had they actually watched the first Terminator, they'd know Sarah was a damsel in distress in that first movie. But I suppose that's okay, because a white man was the hero in that film. These people know damn well had the exact same Terminator 2 come out in 2024, they'd call Sarah in that film woke too. You know, because badass women always means the message.
Well, then he brings up, well, we don't care about female leads because of Ripley from Aliens or Sarah Connor from Terminator. And he actually points out it's more Terminator 2. But the thing is, it actually isn't. See, yes, it starts off in Terminator. By the way, spoilers. It starts with her being the damsel in distress. However, by the end of the movie, she starts to become that girl boss. She has to save herself, taking on more of the final girl role from any horror movie, like Sidney Prescott or Jamie Lee Curtis. Which is why a lot of people tend to classify Terminator as sort of a horror movie. Because she is the final girl. In fact, horror has been really positive in that role where most horror movies, had a final girl. There's, lots of things about that. So, no, I still feel that, yes, Sarah Connor classifies in Terminator, in the first one, because she was the final girl. She ended up saving herself when her hero died. The hero did not save the day and run off with her. So, not really a damsel in distress. As for Ripley, yeah, Ripley is also, that female lead, and that's a pretty good one. Now, he brings up the fact, like, oh, well, we keep pulling these too. Well, we pull a lot more, actually. People will tend to give a laundry list of characters that are female that have been in lead roles where we've been perfectly fine. The biggest problems we have with what's going on now, why it's being brought up now, is for two reasons. The first reason is that a good majority of the time, they are taking male characters and either just flat out replacing them with a woman, like Ghostbusters 2016, or they are taking the male heroes and making them weaker so that they can be saved by a woman. So you're kind of destroying this iconic hero that people have grown up with. And then you're throwing a woman on top of it in a time where it's like, okay, we're sick of this. If you want to do something, make something yourself. Don't just keep taking on franchises and IPs where we already have established things. Like, okay, here. Perfect example. I just mentioned Ghostbusters 2016. But Ghostbusters Afterlife was pretty good. I loved it. I mean, I haven't seen the new one, Frozen Kingdom, I think, or Frozen Empire, whatever it's called. I haven't had the time. Be honest with you, I just haven't had the time. But I've been hearing it's not very good, so it's not like I'm rushing to go see it now. I will probably see it because of something I will bring up towards the end, but I haven't seen it yet. And it's on Netflix. I know I can watch it anytime. I don't got to go buy the Blu-ray, but I just haven't had the time. I got other things to do. I'm a single father, so I'm doing the best I can while trying to write books, while trying to make a living. So I'm doing everything I can. But Ghostbusters Afterlife, I really enjoyed that. And they were kids. And I think one or two of them were women. Girls. I had no problem with that. I even said, if it was a mix and there was some connection between the girl Ghostbusters and the original Ghostbusters, I might have been more fine with it. If the humor was funnier, I probably would have liked it a bit more. He brings up this thing, the message, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. But let's continue on.
Staying in this same universe, John Boyega documented his experience with these people before The Force Awakens even released.
And so much racism thrown at her.
I saw that.
But Disney was there. They had a plan. And it seemed like, Disney learned along the way to have a plan for these sort of things to happen.
Yeah.
When it happened to you, I don't think there was a game plan. I don't think they saw it coming.
Man, That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. But that's the peace that I felt. Moses Ingram being protected makes me feel protected. Do you understand what I'm saying? It makes me feel like, okay, cool. I am not the elephant in the room. Because when I started, it wasn't really a conversation you could bring up. You know how they went through it. It was kind of
I
like,
know.
let's just be silent.
Oh,
It
he's
wasn't.
bringing this up again.
Yeah, it wasn't a conversation you could bring up. But now to see how blatant it is, to see Ewan McGregor come and support is it for me fulfills my time where I didn't get the support. It doesn't make me feel bitter at all. It makes me feel like sometimes you're that guy, and my dad taught me that. Sometimes you're not the guy to get the blessing. Sometimes you're Moses. You lead the people to the mountain, but you see the destination. You don't get to go in. You get others to go in, and that's where you get your happiness from.
But I suppose he was lying about his experience too, because according to the fools under this tweet, most people love John's inclusion in episode 7, right? Because the person that actually went through that experience knows less than random Twitter trolls that have a vested interest in proving they're not racist, and that anyone that criticizes these films before they even release aren't racist either.
Now, he does bring up that John Boyega had some racist backlash. I do know, I heard, and they actually showed, so a lot of the channels that were talking about Star Wars actually showcased, like, for instance, how his face on the poster was removed in China. And to that I say, well, take that up with the Chinese. I mean, if they're racist, that's on them. We have no... I mean, Disney might have some control, but, I mean, who are you trying to target the audience? And my biggest question to all this, like, my biggest question then, because when I first found out John Boyega, I mean, I didn't know who John Boyega was. That was sort of my introduction to that actor. Honestly, at the time, I didn't care he was black. I didn't care. Honestly, I cannot believe anybody actually cared that he was black. Like I said, we've seen black people in Star Wars before, so I don't know why it matters. I had no problem with him. I didn't know any of the cast except for the main characters that from the previous movies. Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie. Those were the only ones I knew, but I knew enough to know that they were going to probably be passing the torch to some younger characters, which I was okay with. Like, I went into that trilogy expecting that to happen. I knew that was going to happen, so I had no problem with it. But getting back to the John Boyega thing, like, okay, yeah, he did experience racism, I guess. He says it. I'm not going to say he's wrong because, I mean, that's his experience. But, I mean, that just seems really petty at that point. And that was probably people who just really wanted to see it fail. There are so many different levels to this whole thing that, I mean, now we live in a time where people want to be assholes just to be assholes. So, some of the people who watch this video, you are going to comment in my comment section something negative, despite the fact I've always said, don't be negative. And if you're too negative, I'm going to remove you. But I bet I'll still get a negative comment in my comment section. I'm still going to have people who are trolling. I'm sure the Birdman is going to have people trolling in his comment section. This is going to happen. This has always happened when it comes to people being famous. Oh, I got a good one for the end, but that is it though. Like, there are people in this world, believe it or not, who are actually not racist, but they are petty as shit. They are jealous as fuck, so they are just going to be like, well, I hate you because, that is just how things go, especially when you're in Hollywood.
But then these people are simply refuted by King Grift himself with tweets like these. I want you to take a hard look at this photograph and then look at the tweet. The cynical grifter has not seen this movie. No one has. And yet he's already made up his mind that this is a problem. Because otherwise there's no point to this tweet. If he's not saying this image is an issue, then he's saying modern filmmaking isn't an issue. And we all know he doesn't believe that. So what could possibly be the problem with this photograph? Oh, damn. It's the black woman in the foreground, isn't it? I mean, because if it isn't, you've got 3 other humans in the picture, each of them relatively innocuous. Unless you count the Hawaiian dude in the silly costume, because the glam rock aesthetic wasn't a thing in the past ever, and it's something modern filmmakers for the Minecraft movie made up in 2024, apparently. And clearly his problem can't be the straight white male protagonist or the normal-looking white woman in the background, so clearly his issue is the fat black woman. But how does cynical grifter not know this woman was the best person for the job? I'm not naive. I understand the answer to that question will be more euphemisms and conspiracy theories like DEI, but that's not an answer to my question.
So then he points out this post by the Critical Drinker about the new Minecraft movie. Now, this right here, me and the Birdman are almost in alignment because my daughter just saw the trailer for the first time. Now, she has been waiting for the Minecraft movie since she first heard about it like a couple years ago. Every time there's a new video of something leaked or something, she wants to see it. Even if it's only 5 minutes of a 20-minute video, she wants me to find that spot and watch it. Just so she can see what news is coming out. Her grin as she was sitting there watching the trailer for the Minecraft movie was the biggest smile I had ever seen on my daughter's face. She was in heaven. But then we watched immediately right after a trailer breakdown, and the first thing the person came out and said is that the movie is getting a lot of backlash. Now, I'm not a huge Minecraft fan like her, but I've played it enough to know it looked pretty damn good. For a live-action Minecraft movie, that looked pretty damn good. I was a little confused, like maybe many people were, about why the main characters are not blocky too. But this guy, he was sort of a neutral party, and he explained why. He explained that these 2 kids are somehow living on their own. The woman is their, neighbor or something. And so she kind of looks after them a little bit. And this guy in the pink jacket is... I'm spacing on the actor's name. But he's a game shop, like a game store owner who used to be really big into video games and now is running his own store. But, his lifestyle, the way he presents himself, is stuck in the 80s. Jason Momoa, that's right, that's who that is. So Jason Momoa is, mentally got his fashion sense stuck in the 80s. And I guess the boy finds some kind of cube, and it opens up a portal, which leads them to the Minecraft world. And the Minecraft world is not a game. It's not a game in this universe. It's an alternate reality. So these four, I mean, if you watch the trailer, you watch them come out of the portal like so easily, like they are walking through it, not being sucked through. Yet, oh, I guess a lot of people are calling this a Jumanji ripoff. It's like it's not a Jumanji ripoff. Not everything with that has to do with characters going into a video game world is a Jumanji ripoff. In fact, I'm pretty sure we can find older games or older movies that are ripoffs that Jumanji ripped off itself. So, but he basically says that the people have a problem with the woman. And I mean, I don't know that actress, but I don't see why people would have a problem with that woman. Now, I do have an issue with there's a little girl and a little boy, and supposedly they're supposed to be on their own because their parents are dead. I have an issue with that because what government's going to let two little kids, be in a, have not, I don't know, have a sister looking after her brother when they look like they're the same age. There you go. And that's the other thing too. Like he said, the people are judging the Minecraft movie just based on this little teaser. I mean, first off, like I said before, what did you expect it to look like? Of course it's going to look something similar to the way all these posts and videos of what Minecraft would be like in real life. That is what is made by fans. Fans made those videos. Fans made those pictures. Did you not want them? See, this is what is so stupid. Like, everybody said, for the longest time, we've been telling Hollywood, listen to the fans, listen to the fans, listen to the fans. So, with One Piece, they listened to the fans, they succeeded. With Sonic, they listened to the fans, they succeeded. Now, they're giving you exactly the kind of stuff people have been putting out, you Minecraft fans have been putting out for years. All you modders who use real-life textures, all you artists that make art of Minecraft, what it would look like in real life, they basically copied that work. They're giving you what you wanted, what you said you wanted. In fact, how do you know they didn't bring in some fans to help make this world look this way? They could have gotten fan artists in on this who had done really good job at doing this already and said, hey, come work for us on the movie. Did you think about that? This could be made by fans. And there's a big Hollywood studio backing it up, and there's a big cast of characters, the famous people, but it looks weird. Well, who cares? They're blocks. They're supposed to look weird. But let's move on.
I'm asking, how does he know? Why can't she be the Mace Windu and Lando Calrissian of this movie? How does he know? There are many examples of these kinds of people judging something in this manner before they've even experienced that piece of media, and that's due to grifters teaching people this is how you view media. Once the parrots saw that Ubisoft was creating a game with the character Yasuke, it became the worst thing ever. When it's not a fictional series? Doesn't fiction imply that the story can be whatever whoever is creating it wants it to be? How is a story you haven't even experienced yet woke in the first place? How do you know he won't be the Mace Windu and Lando Calrissian of Assassin's Creed?
Now, I do want to address the fact that he brings up that it's fiction. And yes, it is fiction. But at the same time, the idea of fiction is that we escape reality. Now, I know that's hard to understand, but that is what, for a better term, we'll go with his term, parrots. Even though I feel like that's very negative, and I know that's exactly what he's intending, that the term parrot be negative. But he says that people are parrots because they're parroting what smarter people have said. Well, yeah, that's generally how it goes. You hear something from somebody smarter than you, it registers, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, duh. So now you're going to say the smart thing too. I mean, generally, then you could look at every student in every school, everywhere, as a parrot. But I haven't gotten to that point. I'm jumping a little bit ahead. But yeah, generally, yes, fiction can be anything. So stop making it so close to damn reality. That's what we're complaining about. That is the issue. Hollywood keeps making things like, oh, well, this is how it is in the real world, so this is how it has to be in the fictional world. Like, going back to Star Wars, I've made this claim before. Show me one instance from episode 1 to episode 6 where anybody was not allowed to be in the Empire based on race. Yet they want to keep calling the Empire Nazis. Never once, not anywhere, is anybody excluded from the Empire. No, in fact, the Empire wants everyone. They want all the galaxy under their umbrella. They don't care what race you are. They don't care what planet you are. You either join up or you serve the Empire, or you die. There was no way. I'm pretty sure. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure that the Nazis were not just taking the English and the French and the Americans and saying, yeah, you can join up with us. You can fight alongside us. Hell no. They were not doing that. Maybe other countries in the past, or other great wars, by actual dictators who conquered, like probably Alexander the Great, Napoleon. But I'm pretty sure Napoleon probably didn't do that either. I'm pretty sure for Napoleon it was the French, the French, the French. Eventually the French would side with their allies, but you had to prove you were an ally. The Germans, they wanted to just take over and make everything German. They wanted to be the master race. They wanted purity. Never once in Star Wars did anyone ever say anything where the Empire wanted purity. Now, did they have suits of armor for the stormtroopers? Did the stormtroopers march? Yeah. If that was what makes them a Nazi, well then I guess Nazis have existed since armies have existed, because the Romans, the Greeks, the English, the British, whatever. Even today, we still have military soldiers all wearing basically the same kind of outfits, the same kind of gear, marching. That is what armies do. That's just how they are. That doesn't make the Empire Nazis. Yet everyone, especially when episode 7, 8, and 9 were coming out, kept calling the Empire Nazis, and that was so infuriating. It's like, they weren't Nazis. Nowhere in there were they ever even remotely close to the Nazis. Yeah, did the Emperor have a weapon that could destroy an entire planet? Yes, he did. Why? Because if a planet was not going to side with him and was going to be a problem, he was just going to take it out. He wasn't going to track down for all we know, there could be many survivors from Alderaan, from Episode 4. Hell, they could have brought back Jimmy Schmidt as the leader of the Rebel Alliance after Episode 4, merely saying, oh, because he was a politician, he was not on Alderaan at the time when it was blown up. We did not have confirmation. She was not on the line with her father as they approached Alderaan. And they never said that her family was killed. And that's the other thing, too. You gotta stop assuming people die. Even if you think you see it, there is always a chance a writer can find some way to bring someone back. But let's move on.
So you want to tell me again that black characters simply existing in today's media wouldn't draw the ire of the worst people on the internet? I'm sorry, I don't believe you, because you have consistently shown us why we shouldn't. You wish that black people stay relegated to side character status, which is why you're praising one of the antagonists of Episode 5 and the actor that is not playing Obi-Wan or Anakin in the prequel trilogy. But when Miles Morales is on screen, you twist yourselves into pretzels, coming up with excuse after excuse for why you refuse to call him Spider-Man, hiding behind lies like, we're just trolling, or they're sidelining legacy characters.
Now, he does bring up Miles Morales as Spider-Man. And to be fair, on my accounts with that, I just haven't really seen much of anything with Miles Morales as Spider-Man. I have not watched Into the Spider-Verse or the sequel. I haven't played Spider-Man 2, the game. But, if you have, like, in that Spider-Man 2 game, if you have Peter Parker and you have Miles Morales, then Peter Parker is probably the Spider-Man you're most familiar with. So, unless there's another way to say Spider-Man, like, Spider-Man 2000, for example, I think is one of the Spider-Mans. I'm not sure if he has his own, but if they're all just called Spider-Man, that can get a little confusing in your mind. So maybe when you're talking about it, you're like, naturally you're just going to associate Spider-Man to the one you're most familiar with. And the one most people are probably most familiar with is the Peter Parker one. Seeing as how there's been 3 franchises, several games, mountain stack of comics based on that character, and Miles Morales is sort of new. I think I've heard about him for a while, possibly 10 years old, but I'm not sure. I'm not huge into the Miles Morales saga of Spider-Man. I know very little. I know he was like a replacement after Peter Parker. Just like I know that there's been other Batmans after Bruce Wayne. I used to watch Batman Beyond. I liked Batman Beyond. I would still classify that new character. It wouldn't matter what his skin color was. But that's already an established character. And so, as far as Miles Morales goes, I have zero issue with the fact he's a black kid. I don't care he's black, but he was established that way. Okay, fine, great. Yeah, there's a black Spider-Man. I don't care. Is he good? Is he gonna be as good as Peter Parker was? Is he gonna go through his own struggles? Or are we just gonna recycle everything that was Peter Parker into Miles Morales? And if that's the case, then yeah, I might have an issue then. That's the biggest problem with this. That's what people have issues with. Make something your own. Bring in new likable villains. I mean, don't just keep having Miles Morales fighting the same old villains that Peter Parker's been fighting for 100 years. But actually give him some new material. Give him some new villains. Unfortunately, I get the feeling like most of the ideas have already been done. But let's finish this up.
Never seemed to do this to Wally West, Scott Lang, or Damian Wayne. I wonder why that is. True to form, you people don't know what the words legacy character even mean. You seem to believe this refers to the original character that held the mantle, but it actually refers to the new character that holds the mantle. Miles Morales is a legacy character. Because that's what those words mean.
See, then he talks about the Flash, Ant-Man, and Robin, but I don't recall any times where they've been race swapped. If they've been race swapped, people would have an issue. I mean, that Robin is a completely different Robin. There's like 4 different Robins. And there's a lot of fan backlash of which Robin is the best. I know a lot of people are really upset with the fact, I think, they made Tim Drake a Joker because he used to be a Robin. So, I mean, there's a whole slew of why, like I said, if Miles Morales is an original character, that's fine. Great. Love him. But if he is just if he used to be like some white character and then he was just reskinned like 10 years ago and made famous all of a sudden, I mean, if it works, it works. If that's what if Miles Morales wasn't doing good as a white character and they turned him black and he was good, okay, great, whatever, that works. But he was not a big name character. Growing up, I never really heard of Miles Morales, which is why I'm pretty sure until recently he did not exist in the Spider-Man universe. You know who I did hear about besides Peter Parker? I heard about Eddie Brock. I heard about Doc Ock. I heard about Venom. And I know those are kind of, I know him and Eddie are the same, but I meant Venom as the symbiote separately. I heard about Green Goblin. I used to watch the cartoon, which also had Hobgoblin. For the longest time, I was confused on, okay, wait, if 2 guys were Green Goblin, then who was Hobgoblin? I still don't know if I got a satisfying answer to that. But Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Black Cat. And Black Cat, I was just talking to my friend, and I basically told him, I said, Black Cat was the basic Marvel ripoff of Catwoman. Like, literally, they're like the same characters from what I know. And she's never made it into a movie. And yet, they're already making movies of Miles Morales. So I have no problem with Miles Morales. I just don't know the character. I'm not rushing. I mean, I've seen every Spider-Man movie except for the cartoon ones, the newer cartoon ones. I like the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man probably the most. And then, I mean, I really did like uh what's his name? Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. When the Andrew Garfield one came out, I thought it was a little bit better. I liked his attitude a little bit more. He was not as nerdy as Peter Parker is supposed to be, and I felt like there was some great middle ground between the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield. And then they came out with the Tom Holland one, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is the combination between Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And then they made Spider-Man No Way Home, which was amazing because they brought all three together. I actually enjoyed that more than Into the Spider-Verse because, like I said, I haven't seen it, but I've seen trailers. I've heard people talk about it. I've seen many, many clips. Basically, I've kind of seen the movie without actually having to sit down and watch the movie. And it doesn't look that interesting to me. And it has nothing to do with Miles Morales. I don't like the way that, the things they did to Peter Parker. I get he has a hard life. I get he's been through some struggles. But getting fat and stuff, no, I didn't care for that. Bringing in a cartoon pig, I mean, is this Spider-Man or Deadpool? Because that is something I would expect out of Deadpool. Okay, so here he's pulling up something that looks like a Wikipedia for legacy character. And he goes on to explain what this thing says a legacy character is. A legacy character is a character whose identity is passed down to them from an older character in the form of the job or personal or newer character to us. I can't read very well because the bar is at the bottom, but won't be in the video, so you guys should be able to read it when I put it in the video. But if you look up the word legacy, I'm gonna bypass the first one because that talks about it in the form of money or property left to, which is kind of what that one's saying, that it's like a property that's passed down to the next generation. But here, I think when they're talking about legacy characters, now maybe this page he's using is wrong, but the long-lasting impact or particular events of actions that took place in the past or a person's life. For example, he left us a rich legacy of buildings that are both innovative architectural creations and genius works of art. So this page he's using, this Wikipedia-like page, they have it wrong. Because the way it's intended is that the legacy character is the character who's been through these actions before. And this is how it's commonly used. For example, in, I think it was Scream 6 or 7. Or no, Scream 5 or 6. We haven't gotten 7, I think. Basically, the new Billy, or the new Randy, sorry, she basically says that one of the legacy characters is supposed to die, which means either Sydney's going to die or Gil is going to die. And by legacy, in that aspect, they are talking about a character who's already gone through these events once. The original character. So, this site he's using is wrong. I don't blame him. I don't blame the Birdman. I blame, what he's using to kind of debunk this.
And speaking of what words mean, I seriously tire of you people using the word woke. Woke does not mean diversity and people that promote diversity. Woke is Black American slang. It is a corruption of the word awake, and that being the case, it means being aware. Like when you're awake. More specifically, it means being aware of racial prejudice and discrimination, and was coined by Black Americans in the 1930s, back when racism was as open in public as it is on Twitter today. So you see, being that you people believe you are pointing out discrimination against white people, technically, you are woke. And because you're speaking Ebonics, you are literally that which you hate. Congratulations, you played yourselves. And I can see the parrots getting ready to type words to the effect of, well, words change and can mean different things. Interestingly, these are the same people that don't want the word woman to refer to trans women and say that words like cis don't mean anything. And look, I'm not a trans activist, so this is not my fight, but it is a bit of amusing cognitive dissonance, wouldn't you say?
Okay. So now we get to the part of the video where this is why I felt like I had to make a rebuttal on this. So he's talking about the word woke and how it actually comes from Black slang. And it deals with the idea of racism. Now, that might be how it began. I'm not denying that could be the very beginning of the word. I believe it. I 100% believe it. However, like so many other things that are getting recycled and reused nowadays, like until Obama was running for president, I never heard the term Jim Crow. Now, maybe many black people have. Maybe they know all about it. I didn't know what Jim Crow meant. I had to actually look it up and find out. So, I mean, there are terms that are so old that are being brought back. And it may start out a certain way. But that doesn't mean it's not changing. Like he actually says here. Now he says that we are that which we hate. But here's the thing, okay? Here's the problem with the whole us against the woke. Because the whole woke agenda thing, it may have started out by pointing out racism, but it instantly grew and became anything not PC. Not politically correct. So if it was something that offended people, and it was these people who claimed, these people themselves were claiming they were woke. They were happy. They were happy to go out and say they were woke. They wanted everyone to know they were woke. They were telling everyone they were woke. They called themselves that. And then we started actually listening. Many of us, I mean, for a while, we were listening. And then we just said, many of them, not everybody, but a large portion of people were just like, oh, you guys are crazy. We're tuning you out. That was the mistake, because then it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. Until, yes, there was a message. There was an agenda. There was a certain thing that these woke people, the people who claimed they were woke, really started pushing. And finally, we had people who were pushing back against it, saying, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. We're not okay with this. We're not okay with that. Because you are trying to change everything. You are trying to change reality. You are saying the world is flat when it's round. You are saying boys can give birth to babies. It escalated to a point where people were done and we were tired of it. And yes, then we started saying, well, you people are woke. If you were on that side, if you shared those beliefs as the people who were happy to claim they were woke, then yes, we said you were woke. And it wasn't, the racism thing has only just started in the last couple of years. I know this because back when this woke stuff started, I was one of the very first to tell my neighbors and friends, like, oh, this is going to end bad. This is going to end so badly. And I was not wrong. It has gotten to a point where it has gotten really bad. Because now there is more racism in this country than there's probably ever been. And it's not really racism, as it's more a means of people are just irritated and fed up with the attitude of each other on both sides. But there's a right side and there's a wrong side. If you think that it's okay to terrorize an entire city, burn down houses and businesses, bring a major city to a stopping halt where police have to get involved and shoot people because people are shooting at them and there's major riots in the streets, if you think that's okay, there's something wrong. The whole thing with Kyle Rittenhouse, and they tried to make Kyle Rittenhouse during the BLM riots, they tried to make him out like he was racist, yet the people he shot was white. And he was running for his life. He was trying to get away, but these people would not leave him alone. And media is pushing a narrative. They've been pushing it for a while. And if you watch certain right-wing media, yeah, I'll admit they're right-wing. Of course they're going to come out. But the problem is while the left pushes a message without giving proof, I mean, those come out like, okay, here, for example, with George Floyd. The left came out and they showed off the family and the friends and how much they were in pain and suffering over the loss of George Floyd. Oh yeah, I believe that these people are hurt. I believe that they're upset. I don't know, I was not there. But at the same time, then you had the right media coming out, pulling out criminal records, and those criminal records were with drug addiction and stuff, proving that, okay, this guy had a drug problem and he was a criminal. So of course people are not going to care. Notice as soon as everybody started hearing about that, the George Floyd name sort of died out. Oh, they'll bring it up once in a while, but it's not pushed hardly anymore. Why is that? Oh, could it be because they got found out? Could that be the reason? the message doesn't play so well when you actually can prove the facts, which is the current state we're in. That's why I've always said we are currently in World War III. People keep thinking that it's going to be country against country, but we're fighting it right now through social media, online, neighbors against neighbors. And it's being pushed and propelled by the government, by Hollywood. And they are pushing a distinct message. This DEI stuff that people keep bringing up, again, the left says, oh, well, what's wrong with hiring these people? Whoever that is, from whatever country they're from, whatever skin color they are. If they select whatever they're selecting that week to be the one that they're going to hire. And you cannot tell me that DEI is a good thing, because not everybody, just because they meet a certain requirement, is going to get the job. And if you are a follower of the Daily Wire or the Quartering or anything like that, they will prove to you how people get jobs that don't qualify for those jobs. And they will show you a history of the people. There are criminals. There was a cross-dressing man who was in our government who was going around stealing luggage from airports. But he only got the job because he was gay. He didn't have the qualifications to do the job. He was a downright criminal. But because he was a trans man, a cross-dressing man, he got a job. So that is why we call these people woke. That doesn't make us woke. We're just calling them what they said they wanted to be called. They originally came out and they said, we're woke. And then we came along and said, fine, go woke and get broke. And every company that has gone woke has gotten broke. Disney. I mean, I've joked around with my friend, and every time one of these woke movies, and yes, by woke, I'm meaning the message. When it's a distinctly woke movie, then yes. That's because it's made by the people who called themselves woke, and those people, they started with one thing, and they kept growing, and they kept adapting new things. Oh, it has to be a woman. Oh, she has to be gay. It's just like I've said with gays in general. Like I said, I personally have nothing against gay people. I've met many gay people. I don't know if I have any friends that are gay, because I don't get that much into their details of their lives, and I don't have many friends, so probably not. But I have a friend who has a friend who's gay, and I actually hung out with the two of them, and I was just more confused, like, because he wasn't anything like I had seen in the media. Not like when you see all these people on ABC News or NBC News and stuff. He was nothing like them. And I was just curious. I was like, well, as a gay person, how do you feel about what's going on? And he told me, he's like, it's embarrassing to us. To all the people he knew that were gay, he was embarrassed by all the crap going on in the world. I've talked to black people, and the black people I've talked to, they are Trump supporters, and they are embarrassed about how racist the country and the world has become. It doesn't matter who you're racist against. Like I said in the past videos, we fucking had it beat, people. It was fucking done with. By the year 2000, yeah, we were done with that shit. You woke people, you brought it back. And you brought it back strong. You lit a powder keg, and now it's back. There wasn't a lot of talk about race in the year 2000. Nobody cared. Nobody really gave a shit anymore. But sure enough, now as things start happening, movies get made, things get publicized in the news like, oh, this guy died because he was black. No, he died because he was resisting arrest. They did it to another kid. I forget the kid's name, but this black kid shot at police officers and then killed a police officer, and the other police officers came up and shot at his car. They shot his car 94 times. Because he was still shooting. No, he wouldn't stop. And you had a lot of multiple officers, and he was putting people's lives in danger. What if one of those went past one of those cops into a house and hit someone's kid? I never heard once anybody stop to think about how that could have happened. You know, bullets travel, people. They travel quite a ways. A window ain't going to provide much resistance. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, going back to the gays. I may not have any gay friends, but I can tell you what is dead. Gay stories. I've said this many times on the channel, so I have no problem repeating this. I may not be gay myself, but I can identify when you have a story to tell. As a writer, I can identify that. And yeah, some people have traumatic stories of them coming out, them announcing to their families that they are gay. That used to be, back in the early 90s, back in the late 80s too, that used to be a really big point that gay people had. They had where they could write stories that really dived into how traumatizing, how hard it was for a gay person to come out to their families and their friends. That's how it used to be. You know how it is now? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody fucking cares. And I know I'm getting angry a little bit, but it's the truth. Nobody cares anymore. Why? Well, because of DEI. This is where DEI is the biggest problem. Because when you make it's like Syndro said, once everyone's special, nobody will be.
I'll be a bigger hero than you ever were.
You mean you killed off real heroes so that you could pretend to be one?
Oh, I'm real. Real enough to defeat you. And I did it without your precious gifts, your oh-so-special powers. I'll give them heroics. I'll give them the most spectacular heroics anyone's ever seen. And when I'm old and I've had my fun, I'll sell my inventions so that everyone can be superheroes. Everyone can be super. And when everyone's super, no one will be.
If you have nobody special, then you got no story to tell. And they keep putting gays in all these movies, in all these TV shows, and people are just done with it. They're like, okay, and? Or they turn it off and say, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What a waste of time. I almost did that with Stranger Things when they made Robin gay. Because they had set that season up like she was the perfect match for Steve. Then just flip the switch. Nope, now she's gay. Like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. Really? But anyways, let's finish this. So that's why what he's saying, but I'll let
And I can
him
see the parrots
say it.
getting ready to type words to the effect of, well, words change and can mean different things. Interestingly, these are the same people that don't want the word woman to refer to trans women and say,
Yes, words can change and mean different things, I guess. Maybe. I wouldn't think so, but
so parrots, let's stop with the deflections. You're not fooling anyone with the internet version of, but I have black friends. We see through these tired excuses you people come up with to hide how you really feel. No amount of, but they're poorly written, will mask the fact that what you actually want to say is stop including black heroes and characters into my white escapism. Because that's all we hear every time you say this shit. How's that for a message?
and if that doesn't and if the fact that someone says they have a black friend doesn't matter to you, I mean, first off, I don't know what kind of friends you have if you can sit there, or I mean, it must not make you a very good friend if you can sit there and say, oh, well, you have white friends, but you're still racist against them. My friends are my friends. I treat all my friends equally the same. I don't care about skin color. Never really have, never really will. I loan my friends money, and I don't care. As long as I know they're going to pay me back, even if it takes them a long time. I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'm not going to loan you something because you're black. No, you're my friend. I'm going to loan you the money if you need the money. But I will expect you, when you have the chance or when you have the money, to pay me back. And I would expect the same in return. Friendship is not based on the color of someone's skin. Unless that is the type of person you are, in which case, yes, you are racist. If you are saying, oh, well, I have to have 5 black friends so I can be not racist, yes, he's right. You are racist. If that is the qualification for making a friend, is the color of their skin, yes. But if they are just pointing out to you, are you retarded? I have black friends. How do you think I became friends with them? By being racist? Are they self-hating? Do they purposely want to hang around me because I'm racist against them? Are you stupid? And I'm not the only person that has said this, so call me a parrot if you want, but other people out there have said this too. Now, I don't know how it goes on the other side. I don't know if there are black people out there that are like, oh, well, I have to have a white friend so I can go in safe neighborhoods. I don't know if that's the case. I would think not, because why would the white people be friends with you then? If that's the only, they find out that's the only reason you're being a friend with them in the first place. But no, people typically don't do that. Except for maybe the people who are Democrats, left. If there was one word we could use to describe these people. Oh, wait. They gave us a word. They said they were woke. So we're going to keep calling them woke. That's the issue, Birdman. I don't know if you'll watch this, but that's the issue there. That's what I've been getting at, and I've already said it. They gave us the word. They called themselves woke. We're just going along with what they called themselves. we've always been awake. People who are not stupid and are not buying into these stupid things that the left keeps saying, we've always been awake. We were just ignoring the left for a long time. And now we've gotten to a point where everyone on the right is starting to realize, oh, wait, we can't just ignore them anymore. We have to step in and stop this. And that's what we've been doing for like the last 10 to 5 years. We were a little late to the party, and they got a good foothold. We got to get them out. Because they are ruining everything. Movies. I don't know about music. I'm not a big music guy. But they're definitely ruining movies, ruining politics. And when they ruin politics, they're going to ruin our freedom. They're coming for the freedom of speech and everything else. So, I mean, just look around. Seriously. You got trans people who want to compete with women. And I know that's something a lot of people bring up. But why do they gotta compete with women? Why are they so determined to become women? If they're trans, why not just say, hey, you know what? We'll make this easy on everyone. We'll run our own shit. If we're trans, we'll play against each other. We'll create a trans league. Why are they not doing that? Oh, wait a minute. Because they probably wouldn't win. They couldn't bully little girls and win. And that's what it is. It's bullying. And I don't know why the feminists are not more outraged and on the right side when it comes to these issues. Slowly, they're coming over to the right side on it. But it's taking them a long while. Because some of them are so in deep with the left, it's hard for them to get out. Now, some of them got out quick and early, or right away. But no, saying you have black friends doesn't mean you're still racist. It's just saying, okay, you say I'm racist, but I have black friends. That makes zero sense. Really think about that. Like I said, do you really think that they're going to be friends with a racist person? Would you? Do you go around and hang out with KKK and drink beers, Birdman? No, I don't think so. Just like you won't catch me hanging out with a group of racist black people. Because I know they don't like me. I know they hate me because of the color of my skin. Even though I think the whole racist thing is stupid. And like I said, we pretty much had it beat. It was hardly ever brought up. And that's what I mean by beat. It was hardly ever brought up. It was hardly focused on. Nobody cared anymore. I mean, we were more against other countries, than we were against blacks and whites. Yeah, we might have had a problem with, China or the Middle East, but we weren't self-fighting within our own country. Our country was pretty united after Y2K. But nope, now we got all this stuff, and sure enough, people are starting to fight against each other. People are starting to backlash out there, and it's becoming a war zone. I mean, California, I met a man today who said he was living in California, and he loved taking his business trip because it got him out of there. So, and right there where you say that, oh, it's poorly written isn't an excuse. No, that is an excuse. It's poorly written. You basically race swapped a character. You race swapped a character, you gave it bad writing, and you put it out. Like, for instance, with Borderlands. I mean, they didn't even have to race swap. They just casted the wrong person for the role. And the dialogue was very subpar. Roland is not Kevin Hart. And you cannot tell me that the 2016 Ghostbusters was great writing like the original. I mean, granted, the original isn't like the greatest masterpiece in the world, but it was still more entertaining. It wasn't, they didn't have to rely on fart or queef jokes. There. I said it. That's the point. That's what we're getting at. They swap a race or a gender and they slap really bad writing on that character and they say, these are the new ones you gotta like because we say so. And if you don't like it, and that's where we have the biggest issue, Birdman, is if we don't like it, if we have the nerve to stand up and say, no, I don't accept this, then they call us names. So you can go ahead and keep calling people whatever you want, but you're just adding to the problem. I watched a channel that did a reaction to Doctor Who, the newest season, where he is played by a black man. And you know what? I actually have no problem with that. I had a bigger problem with Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who. And the main reason why I had a problem with Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who, not was because, oh, the Doctor's becoming a woman. I mean, that was always a possibility. We always knew. Honestly, if they had swapped the two around, probably would have been better. But maybe not. Because the whole trans thing is still going on. So, it's more of an issue that they had to pick right now. They had to do it right now, this moment in time, to make Doctor Who a woman. Why didn't you do it 10 years ago? Why didn't you do it 20 years ago? The show's been running for 50 years. Nobody cared back in the 80s about Ripley or about Linda Hamilton being big players in their movies. They earned that right. So why not make the Doctor a woman right out the gate when they brought it back? No, they got Christopher Eccleston. And then he only lasted a season, and they got David in there, followed by Matt. And then they still weren't making him a woman. And they even hinted, they kind of hinted that he could be a woman with Matt Smith because he felt his hair and he's like, I'm a girl. And it's like, oh no, I'm not a girl. That was funny. It was entertaining. So it would have been funny if during his next transformation, he actually did become a girl. And it would have been right before all the woke shit really got spun up. Jodie Whittaker probably would have done a lot better at that point. And then we could have gone to Peter Capaldi, and then we could have gone to the new guy who, to be honest, he has a very strange name that I'm not sure yet how to say. It's going to take me a while to learn it. So, the current Doctor is what I'll call him. And There are plenty of story choices with the current Doctor and with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor that just don't look good. And it looks like they're just trying to push the woke agenda, the woke message. They're trying to force feed it down our throats. And that's what they keep doing in everything. That's why nobody cares about gays anymore. Because they have force fed it down your throat for so long. And right now, they're really shoveling it in. They're giving you more than you can take. So now you just don't care. Every show has to have someone who's gay. And during the Peter Capaldi part of Doctor Who, he had a side character named Billy who constantly was telling everyone she's gay. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to hear it anymore. We were so happy when she was gone. That's why people have a problem with this woke agenda. That's why people have a problem. And they automatically go, oh, it's that, so it must be woke. And they don't give it a chance. Because so many times we've tried to give it a chance. We've tried to give it a pass and say, maybe this one more time. And nope, we were slapped in the face. Now, I'll be the first to admit, like I said, I have defended Star Wars and I'm about to defend Doctor Who. I watched this channel. They were doing reactions to the new episodes because I don't have access to watch the new episodes. It's the only way I get to see the new episodes is by watching other people react. But they were reacting and they brought up the same thing. You know, why is everybody doing this? It's ruining movies and TV shows. And they weren't saying this like as in the woke agenda. They were saying they're not even giving it a chance anymore. Why aren't they giving their shows that they love a chance? Well, because they're basically not making it for their fans anymore. Are there people who are blind enough out there, maybe like you, who are willing to just see past whatever because you're such a diehard fan? Yeah, there are. And I'm one of them too. I saw this channel reacting to the Doctor Who episodes, and honestly, they weren't that bad. From what I saw, they weren't that bad. But here's the thing. They weren't pushing that he was a black man or that he was better somehow because he was a black man. They did try to push that. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was better because she was a woman. And that's why she was failing. That's why people were checking out of Doctor Who. Because so many times. Now, I don't agree with you on everything. I don't disagree with you on everything. But I hope that maybe this video helped clear up why some people out there do view this stuff as very toxic and very damaging to the things they like. You know, you clearly like Street Fighter. So, you're telling me if Chun-Li was played by a blonde American girl and they made Bison a trans woman, you're going to be okay when they make Blanca, I believe that's the character, the image you're using. Is it Blanca or Blanca? But they make him a her, and she's female now. I would think you'd be very upset. if you're a true fan of Street Fighter, like I said, I'm not. I have very limited knowledge when it comes to Street Fighter, but you probably would be pissed. So maybe before you just shut out or dismiss what people on the right are saying, do take your own advice and maybe actually check out both sides. Not just from the extremist, like Geeks and Gamers, or Nerdrotic, or that Doom guy. Oh my god, I hate that Doom guy so much. He was the worst of them all. Because, like, I'll explain real quick. I mean, we got time. I know, this is a long video, but this is what you guys come for, obviously, or you would have left by now. Except Birdman. I know why Birdman would stay around, but here's my thing. Here's why I was so mad that I quit watching Geeks and Gamers and that weird Doom guy who looks like he's on some sort of weird spaceship. Basically, the script for The Rise of Skywalker came out, and they were saying, oh, this is so stupid. Rey takes the lightsabers and moves into Luke's house and lives there, and that's how the movie ends, with her looking out over the dunes. It's so stupid. And I actually watched Rise of Skywalker. I had problems with it, yes, but they were not those problems. I felt like the movie moved too fast. The dialogue was a little lackluster. Not horribly lackluster. I loved The Return of the Emperor, as there is evidence from Return of the Jedi that maybe proves he really did not die, because all we last saw was him falling down a shaft. We didn't actually see him go splat. But I pointed out in previous videos too how the Emperor could have survived. But then they finally got to that scene at the end that Nerdrotic, or not Nerdrotic, but the Doom guy and Geeks and Gamers were talking about. And we watch as Rey goes to Luke's childhood home from Tatooine, buries both Luke and Leia's lightsaber. And then she goes outside, she talks with the old woman, claims to be a Skywalker, which I also defended too. But she basically does look out at the dude. She's not moving in to Luke's childhood home. She's not going to live there. She was just there paying respects, bringing back Luke and Leia's lightsabers to the only place that had a home tie to the Skywalker family. Yeah, Leia may not have spent any time there, but Leia's childhood home is a pile of dust floating through the galaxy. The only thing left for the two of them, being that nobody probably knows their origin because it died with Obi-Wan and Yoda, is Luke's childhood home in Tatooine. It's very Asian-like, because I believe in a lot of Asian cultures, like when their soldiers, when their samurais would die on the battlefield, other samurais would return those swords back to the home of the fallen warrior. And then they would give it to the family or bury it in the maybe in the yard if there was no family left, because that was the belongings to the knight, to the samurai. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but that's how I took it as, because I think I've seen that in some samurai movie in the past. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I took it. She was taking the lightsabers back to the only place that still had a tie to Luke and Leia. So that's going to go, I think that's about the end.
For thousands of years, the world has been protected by the Guardian of Light, or as he is more commonly known, Santa Claus. Over the centuries, factors such as fear and prejudice, greed and jealousy, misunderstandings, betrayal and war have segregated most humans from the magical world of elves, fairies, wizards, and the like. This has resulted in many misconceptions and generalizations of the true nature of Santa and his world.
This 6-book series by Sean Connaughton begins as the current of a long series of Guardians is murdered by a group of monstrous enemies recently escaped from an enchanted South Pole prison. These creatures are loyal to the darkness, an evil force determined to exterminate the light in order to enslave all creatures of the world.
Shane Connor, an average young man, suddenly finds himself being trained as the new Guardian. As he adapts to his new life among fantastic creatures, he goes on an adventurous quest with a legendary wizard for the ultimate weapon to use against the darkness, and faces murderous enemies like Rasputin, Morgana Le Fay, Krampus, and many more.
Along with his best friend Joe Gomez, Shane encounters politics, history, mysterious murders, new loves, his own hidden past, and racial dynamics among the fantasy races that turn out to be all too real. Their adventures reveal the true nature of the world and challenge the current state of how all races interact.
This series expertly melds myths, legends, history, faiths, folklore, and secret societies into a fascinating, cohesive, comprehensive world of wonder and magic.
From Atlantis to Olympus, from Hades to the moon, and from broomstick races to Christmas deadlines, join the new Santa Claus on his amazing journey. But beware, will Shane's quest achieve his ultimate goal of destroying the darkness and preserving the light of the world? Or is he actually playing right into a plot by dark forces that will result in his, and our, ultimate doom?
So make your list and check it twice for the Guardian of Light book series. Download your audiobook or ebook today from Audible, Amazon, or iTunes.
So, back a couple weeks ago, I made a video talking about Trump. And yeah, I didn't actually say this, but I do want to point out that I kind of talked a little bit about this in this video. I was mainly trying to focus on everything leading up to Trump running for president the first time. I wasn't necessarily focused on why people hate him now, because people hate him now, like I said, because A, he's a rich man. He's rich, you're not, which makes him bad and you the good guy. But you know what? So is every politician out there. Every politician is going to be richer than you, which should make all of them the bad guys. Unless we can get rid of the entire government system and replace it with poor people, sorry to say, poor people will never be in office. But that is why they hate Trump. And that's what I was mainly focusing on in that video. I was focusing on the things leading up, things people don't talk about. I wasn't really trying to focus on the stuff they do talk about. Also, in one of the comments, somebody brought up the fact I mentioned that people go to school to become president. No, there are no actual classes that I think teach you to become president, but you get a certain design, a certain path through your schooling that leads you into a pathway that's going to get you into the government. Now, whether that path leads you to going through the military, to serve, and also attend college, so you can get a job as a politician when you get out, but you have to go in with a certain mindset and a certain drive to end up in a certain place where you are in a prime position to, I don't know, become mayor, then become governor, then become senator, then become president. Nobody working at Burger King is going to get a job as president of the United States. That's never going to happen. I would actually kind of love to see what would happen if that happened, though. So, prove me wrong on that. Let's vote. Go find us a good candidate, someone who's entertaining, who's not already famous. But that is going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. I've taken up everybody's time long enough. And so, yeah, I'm just going to wrap this up. Oh, this is probably one of the longest episodes I've ever done. So, Book 6 is coming out soon, real quick. I just want to patch on this. Book 6 is coming out soon. My editor is working hard to finish, even though he's going through some stuff. So, it probably won't be until the end of the month when Book 6 comes out. But he is in love with it. So, he really likes everything I did. So, I'm really happy that it passed my editor's test. And I hope you guys will all be happy with Book 6. If you haven't, please check out Books 1 through 5. Available on Amazon. I don't expect very many people to have reached this part. So hopefully, if anybody's left who hasn't read my books, please do check that out. So in closing, before I go, my message to the Birdman. As someone who is a fan of your work and who tries to often see both sides, maybe before you do any more videos like this, where you go out and you attack people who might have their own opinion, which it's fine if you have an opinion. But maybe check out both sides. And to all my other viewers, if you think something is going to be woke, don't just immediately dismiss it. Don't just say, oh, it looks woke, so I'm not going to see it. Because, like I said earlier in the video, I watched somebody doing a reaction to the current season of Doctor Who, and honestly, it didn't look that bad. Yes, it has a new Doctor who is a black man, but they, at least from what I saw in the reactions, I did not see anything where they were pointing out anything like, oh, you have to listen to because of his skin color, or something like that. None of that was in the show. Now, maybe they cut that part out or something. But, you know, if you watch something and it is woke, never watch it again. And if you just absolutely cannot stand it, well, then maybe the Birdman's got a point. But at least give it a chance. Like with Star Wars stuff, for the most part, I give it a chance. I won't sit there and watch every little thing that comes out for Star Wars, like the cartoons and stuff. I didn't watch The Acolyte. It did not look interesting. I did not hear good things about it. I had no interest beforehand. It's not part of the main series, so therefore I have nothing really towards watching it. But with Doctor Who, from what I saw of the newest season, it actually looked a little bit better than the Jodie Whittaker season. So make your own just choices. You know, if you don't want, fine, don't watch it. Just like anything else. Nobody is making you watch these things. Nobody is driving you at gunpoint to a theater to go see this stuff. Your family is not going to be executed if you don't play some woke video game because you think it's going to be woke. And yes, we will keep using that term. Birdman, I'm sorry, but it's too late. It's already been ruined. It's going to be the left, which is really what it is. They came out with the term. They adapted the term. So we are going to keep calling them woke. That's all there is to that. And they have only themselves to blame because they started by calling themselves that. Even if they had it wrong with how it was meant to be. They called themselves woke. They made a big deal about it. And they kept adding things to it. And now they are actually pushing. And here's my thing to you, Birdman. Like I said a little bit ago, go check out other channels. There is a girl, you don't have to listen to white people. Even though I notice that you keep attacking white people. Like, every single person you've mentioned in this who's made a tweet seems to be like a white person. So go check out other creators on YouTube and who are in the political space. I saw a video of a guy who was a black man who was gay and who was coming out and saying, how ridiculous this whole gay and trans thing has gotten in the last couple years. Go listen to what he has to say. He has I think it's an hour-long video where he explains why he's now a Republican instead of a Democrat. Why the left is so out there insane. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.